Hi, in this video, I'm going to explain the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Phase 2, and I'm going to talk about some changes that were made from when the program first came out last year. I'm going to talk about timelines and how to actually get approved for the program. But first, I'm going to go through the program details so that you can understand how it works and also get an idea for who qualifies. So I'm going to go over the actual loan program handbook from CalHFA's website. This program is going to be coming out in the springtime, so we think that that's going to happen in April, and I'll explain why that's important. And I'm going to share with you what you can do right now to get a head start on the program and raise your chances of being able to get this money. So this is the Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Handbook. And I've highlighted a few important areas. You do have to go through a participating lender. So CalHFA as an organization doesn't do the loan, they just provide the funds. The company I work for is a approved lender, but just make sure that you're talking to an approved lender because all lenders are not authorized for this program. Very important to note. Let's talk about the eligible buyers. So this program is for first-time homebuyers purchasing an owner-occupied property anywhere in California. Now, this is important because you have to live in the house that you use the program to purchase for, and it is for first-time homebuyers. So everybody on the loan has to be a first-time homebuyer, which means that you have not owned a house in the last 36 months. Eligibility requirement. Again, each buyer must be a first-time homebuyer. They must be a citizen or national of the United States, or a qualified alien. You must meet the credit, income, and loan requirements for CalHFA's first mortgage loan program. For this program, we're going to be looking for a 680 credit score or better. That's a very important note. And at least one person on the loan must be a first-generation homebuyer, and one person needs to be a current California resident. So this is one of the biggest changes to the program. They've added the requirement for one borrower to be a first-generation homebuyer, and we'll see exactly what CalHFA defines that as. To get this money from CalHFA, you need to take a homebuyer class that specifically teaches about the shared appreciation loan, because like any down payment assistance, this is not free money. You do have to pay it back in the future. So first-time homebuyer definition, I'll read through this paragraph. To qualify for the shared appreciation loan, all borrowers, including co-borrowers, must reside in the home and meet the definition of a first-time homebuyer. A first-time homebuyer, defined by CalHFA, is a borrower who has not had ownership interest in any principal residence or reside in a home owned by a spouse during the past 3 years. Very important to note. A first-generation homebuyer. So, a first-generation homebuyer is defined as a homebuyer who has not been on title, held ownership interest, or have been named on a mortgage to a home on a permanent foundation and owned land in the United States in the last 7 years. To the best of the homebuyer's knowledge, whose parents, biological or adoptive, do not have any present ownership interest in a home in the United States, or if deceased, whose parents did not have any ownership interest at the time of death in a home in the United States, or an individual that has been placed in foster care or institutional care. So if someone was in foster care, they would automatically qualify as a first-generation homebuyer. Remember, only one of the borrowers needs to meet that requirement. Again, this is for owner-occupied property only, so you do have to use this money to purchase the home that you plan on living in. You also cannot have a co-signer. So you can't have somebody on the loan that helps you qualify that does not reside in the home. Now this program is unique in a couple ways. One, this is a large amount of money. So you can borrow up to 20% down or $150,000, whichever is less. So on a $500,000 home, you could borrow up to $100,000, which is 20% down. Now, the way this money is repaid is when you sell or refinance in the future, you pay back the original amount that you borrowed plus any appreciation that's transpired over the time that you own the house. And the amount of appreciation that you pay back is dependent on how much you earn. So there's a tool that I'll link down below. It's the Fannie Mae Income Lookup tool. So you're actually going to repay less shared appreciation if you make below 80% of the area median income. If you make above 80% of the area median income, you're going to pay back a larger portion of the appreciation. In my opinion, this is still a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we'll look at some numbers. As long as the house appreciates, typically you'll still be above board and have a lot of profits when you sell, even after paying back the shared appreciation loan. So we'll look at one example. I mentioned it a moment ago. For a $500,000 home, putting 20% down, you're borrowing $100,000. This example is for a borrower that makes more than 80% of the area median income. And in that case, you would pay back 20% of the appreciation. So you're borrowing 20% down to put $100,000 down on a $500,000 home. When the house appreciates, you'll pay back the original $100,000 plus 20% of the appreciation. So in this example on the screen, you can see that it's a $500,000 home, borrowing $100,000 for the down payment. At the time of sale in this example, let's say the home is worth $700,000. So you've gained $200,000 in value. So 20% of $200,000 is $40,000. And so you would pay back your original $100,000 plus 20% of the $200,000, which would be $40,000. So you would pay back $140,000 at the time of sale. Now, it's important to note also that any money that you pay down on the mortgage does not count as appreciation. So any money that you pay down on the principal of the loan through your regular mortgage payments is actually 100% yours to keep. They're just looking at the increase from the purchase price into the sale value. Another requirement of the loan is that you have to qualify and make under an income limit. Now, the income limits are different for each county in California. I will link down below in the description a PDF that shows you exactly what the income limits are for each county. If you have any questions about the income limits, please feel free to drop a comment. I'll respond to those as they come through. Now, as far as refinancing this loan, CalHFA has said that they will allow a one-time refinance and subordinate the loan. So right now we're in an interest rate environment where rates are going down. So you could get this loan today at the market rate, and then you have a one-time exception to where you can refinance to get a lower rate on your first mortgage and leave the shared appreciation loan in place. So that means that you can refinance one time without paying the money back. So that is a one-time exception to refinance and subordinate the loan. I know that was a lot of information I just threw at you, giving an overview of how the program works. More importantly, I want to talk about the process of how to actually get this loan. So again, CalHFA has said that the program is coming out this spring in April. So this is how you can prepare and find out if you qualify ahead of time so that you can reserve your funds. When this program came out last year, it was very disorganized, and honestly, the money set aside for the program only lasted 10 days. So it was kind of a mad scramble for people to get their pre-approval, find a house, and get into contract quickly. They've made some changes that's going to streamline that process, and you will actually know if you have your money secured before you go out and write an offer on a house. The first step is to talk to a CalHFA approved lender to find out if you qualify. So we can talk about the first time homebuyer requirement. We can talk about your parents' home and whether one of the borrowers qualifies as a first-generation homebuyer. That's really going to be the first step. So we can find out that information very quickly. There's a link down below to my calendar where we can book a 15-minute phone call just to go through your situation to see if you qualify. Once we determine that you qualify, you can actually apply for a mortgage. And that process is a quick online application. With most lenders, it takes 5 to 10 minutes. You fill out your information, and then we are able to go in, analyze the information, and determine how much house you would qualify using a 20% down payment. So we can look at the information in the application and determine how much of a home you would qualify for, whether it's $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000. So we would set your pre-approval up assuming that we're getting a 20% down payment. Once you run the numbers with a CalHFA approved lender, they need to generate a CalHFA Dream for All pre-approval letter. So you can see that here. This is what you're going to use to submit a request to CalHFA to reserve your money. So in the month of April, CalHFA is going to open up an online portal, and you're going to have to submit a copy of this pre-approval letter to the portal. There's $220 million set aside for this program on this round coming out in the springtime, and the funds are going to be allocated by percentage of population for each county in California. I can tell you that El Dorado, Placer, and Sacramento counties are getting 6% of the money. So you have to talk to a CalHFA approved lender, submit your application, and then once you have this pre-approval letter, when CalHFA opens up the portal on the website, you can submit your pre-approval letter to reserve the money. Now, once you submit the pre-approval letter, if you are chosen, you will receive a voucher saying that you have X amount of dollars reserved for your down payment. From the time that you get your voucher, you have 90 days to shop for a home, submit an offer, and get a house into contract. Again, last time around, it was a mad dash to get this money. They didn't have this reservation system set up, so this should make things a lot smoother, and it will give you a good idea of whether or not your money is reserved ahead of time so that you can go ahead and shop for a house and hopefully find one within that 90-day period. I hope you found something helpful in this video. If you learned something or if you have any additional questions, please leave a comment. It does help out my channel, and I would love to talk to you about the opportunity of getting the CalHFA Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan.